anything of the like. They say that the Super Frog should be able to take it 65 to 35%, but we find out right now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this could potentially be the last tournament of Legion for one of these teams, a best-of-5 series. The loser will be going home. The winner will have a second chance to keep battling for North America.
Yeah, Thugonomics looking for some damage on Chun-Li right away. He actually connects the Touch of Karma immediately, so they're able to pull out that defense in the first 5 seconds of the game. Envious just running at Cubsy, trying to shut down some of his healing with that Crusader, putting out good pressure. Chun-Li ports back, Fist of Fury stun onto Envious, really trying to punish that aggression, actually managing to get out his trinket very early.
Yeah, Chanimal Cubsy both gating across as well as Chun-Li. They're desperately trying to kite away from Envious's Crusade, and that gateway was very effective at escaping a Retribution Paladin as Envious is desperately marching across the map. With Crusade now faded, he's not going to be as big of a threat. Cubsy grounds the Hodge, I believe. There was really well done from Cubsy. He's going to avoid a long duration stun as a result of that grounding.
You can see right now, Super Frogs, they're stacked up behind the pillar. This is not a position you want to be in against the Retribution Paladin. Envious really able to punish there. Cubsy has to play a little bit of catch up. Chun-Li at around 60% HP, no Touch of Karma available. They can get one big setup onto Envious, though. He doesn't have a trinket. They might be able to force out that bubble. Chaos Bolt on Chun-Li. He trinkets out, trying to run away, trying to line of sight some Thugonomics damage. The Blood Elf Silence should be enough to slow that down for now. Incapacitate onto Colo. Chun-Li trying to reconnect onto Envious, potentially forcing out that bubble, but Colo not in crowd control. That was a very nice Infernal Stun into a full fear. Envious might be forced, but he's actually managed to get the Blessing of Sank out, and Colo should be able to prevent him from bubbling.
Colo's desperately trying to squeak in a couple of healing surges, and Divine Shield is a very important defensive. They manage to hang on to it. Crusade available in 36 seconds. Cubsy needs to be careful to try and grounding totem that next incoming Hammer of Justice because he will have no trinket for it. Let's see how Envious is going to sneak towards Cubsy. He's attacking Chanimal right now, trying to force an Earth Shield swap. Chun-Li is pressuring Thugonomics in center field, forcing an unending resolve, and now looking to follow up with a Chaos Bolt. One Chaos Bolt for Chun-Li, down to about half HP. Not really enough to force him away. Crusade available in 12 more seconds, but if Thugonomics pushes forward, he will be vulnerable.
You can see Thugonomics using that health funnel. Chanimals is targeting that pet once again. Big swap now over on Envious. He has no trinket. Big pressure coming in from Chun-Li and Chanimals. UA going to be dispelled by Colo, but he gets caught in the cap stun. This will ultimately be the bubble, I think, from Envious. But once again, Blessing of Sanctuary going to be coming in the last second. Thugonomics with the double Mortal Coil that will deny the damage coming in from Super Frogs, and ultimately Super Rejects able to hold on to that cooldown once again, barely.
All right, Envious landing a Rebuke. He needs a Hammer of Justice here, and now onto Cubsy. Does he have it? No, Cubsy gates across the map once again, kiting Envious's Crusade. He had stacked it up. He was ready to get a kill, but gets denied by that gateway by Cubsy. They're forced to switch to Chun-Li, looking to pull a Touch of Karma from him. Actually using Hammer of Justice onto the DPS. I mean, it's going to expend mana to dispel it, but in that position where Cubsy had no trinket, I can't help but feel that stunning the Monk is a mistake there by Envious.
Yeah, Chun-Li still getting low. Looks like he gets copped off by Cubsy quite quickly. If we look at mana, Cole's going to have an advantage. He has that Blessing of Wisdom from Envious, so if the game goes on long enough, theoretically, Super Rejects might have that mana advantage with that Blessing of Wisdom from the Rep Pally. Thugonomics getting a little bit low. Chun-Li doing a good job in this game, bouncing around between Envious and Thugonomics, slowing down the Destro Warlock damage, but still being a threat to Envious.
All right, Thugonomics, he's got that Soul Harvest. He's ready to do a ton of damage, but Envious in the meantime is taking a ton of pressure as well. It's going to be the Divine Shield. His major defensive cooldown is now out of the way. He's an open target. Colo's playing Relentless, so he won't be able to Trinket and Spirit Link. He's going to rely on Envious to use Sanctuary. He's sitting through a Hex Chain as Thugonomics gets swapped to. He's down to about half. We see Hammer of Justice onto Cubsy, but not enough pressure really to force a Trinket. They're trying to stay. They follow with a Mortal Coil. Thugonomics is trying to get a Chaos Bolt off into that, but he's not able to find it. They don't even force an Astral Shift from this attempt. They get Earthen Shield Totem at least. Cubsy's trying to deal with the interrupts. Will he be able to? He's connecting the healing waves. Now able to restabilize. Good fake casting by Cubsy.
Yeah, Chanimal's just able to free cast, though. When he gets those UA stacks onto Envious, it can be so devastating. That's where we saw all that damage onto Envious, forcing out that bubble a little bit earlier on. Chanimal still rotting down the pet. Thugonomics has to pay attention to that. We've seen it before, where Thugonomics, if that pet dies, they can just interrupt it forever. Cubsy's sitting down for a key drink, actually topping off his mana, so all of a sudden that mana lead goes in favor of Super Frogs.
Yeah, and it's going to be, I think, quite a long game in this matchup as all the classes are so durable except for potentially Envious. He's going to have to be careful in this position. We see Thugonomics forced to trade out Unending Resolve and trying to counter pressure with it with a Chaos Bolt. Chanimal, though, ports back out of line of sight. Cubsy will duck behind the corner as well. Thugonomics desperately trying to keep his Fell Hunter alive. He does not want to deal with all the interrupts, the plethora of interrupts if that pet ends up going down and has to resurrect it. We see Cubsy, though, in a stun lock currently by the Super Rejects. Crusade is rolling, but Cubsy jumps straight to the gateway. Perfect positioning from Cubsy to deal with this Rep Paladin pressure.
Yeah, Yeah, Envious gets his Retribution Paladin proc there by Chun-Li, so now he's definitely going to be a target to get set up on. Nice Fears coming in from Chanimals as well, denying any pressure from Envious with this Crusade as he tries to stack it up higher and higher. Chaos Bolt can be cast up by Thugonomics, but nope. Wind Shear, nice interrupts throughout this entire game from Super Frogs onto Thugonomics, and that's really why it's difficult for them to get big pressure in this matchup.
All right, Paralysis, Leg Sweep, Fist of Fury attempt here to force a Blessing of Protection from Envious, but not able to find it. Instead, getting an Earthen Shield Totem and Eye for an Eye. Still some decent defensive cooldowns forced and mana expended. We see a Hammer of Justice onto Chun-Li again, trying to force Cubsy to dispel, but this time he's just not even going to waste the mana to dispel. He's going to allow him to sit through it. He pre-walled it. He took basically no damage. Envious is trying to chase down Cubsy. He instantly sees him walking towards him, but actually gets spell locked by Thugonomics. Needs to be careful. Envious right on top of him. Now opting to kind of hide away behind the corner, maybe just heal himself back up. He didn't want to get casted on by Chanimal, spamming out Unstable Afflictions. Both teams in a defensive posture, but I feel like the Super Rejects are inevitably falling behind in this position.
Yeah, Colo has to play catch-up. Interrupt onto Thugonomics once again. Colo gets interrupted. Thugonomics could be in some trouble. Opting to use that wall to get off a Chaos Bolt, but it doesn't cast it out. Grounding Totem going to be used by Cubsy there to deny that damage, so Thugonomics not going to be wasting any Soul Shards. Fakes the cast out, but ultimately denies the damage. Still big pressure on Thugonomics. He gets interrupted. Seduce now over onto Colo. Spiritling Totem does get dropped out, but it's immediately killed off. Thugonomics, the only thing keeping him alive right now. Colo finally out of the crowd control, able to land those heals. Envious, I think he used the Blessing of Protection there as well on the Thugonomics, so Super Rejects really running out of time.
Ooh, a spell lock landed onto Colo. His entire team down below half HP as we're moving into dampening. His Ascendance has faded. Colo has no area of effect healing. He needs to power out healing waves. He's managed to connect a couple to keep his team stabilized, but one spell lock by Chanimal could easily close the game. He doesn't seem to have it available in this position. Now Envious pops Crusade. He's looking for a kill. He's chasing down Chanimal. Chanimal ports away. Cubsy rotating behind the pillar as well. It's likely we see them reposition to the gateway, but right now in this position, Envious is going to do a lot of damage. Hammer of Justice on Cubsy. He's kind of disrespecting the Crusade pressure by sitting through this. He ultimately does, and now they baited Envious behind the pillar. Chun-Li's trying to punish. Envious has to retreat away. Full fear now onto Colo. Sanctuary out. Healing Tide Totem is down to recover. Double Mortal Coil peeling them away. Now setting up for a Chaos Bolt out of that Mortal Coil, potentially onto Chun-Li. Not enough damage to force the touch of Karma just yet with Crusade fading. Now Chun-Li can get aggressive.
Yeah, Envious almost has that bubble back up as well, so he's going to be okay to push in. Full Hammer of Justice down onto Chun-Li. A little bit of pressure coming in from the Super Rejects onto him, but he's going to be completely fine. Colo in a good position, Cubsy in a good position. Looks like Cubsy wants to drop combat once again. Going to be going for the drinks, but the Rain of Fire from Thugonomics will shut that down. We're at 16% dampening right now. Slight mana advantage for Cubsy. You can see he's still looking for those drinks. It's really going to be important that Thugonomics and Envious are able to shut that down.
Nice grounding totem on that Chaos Bolt by Cubsy towards Thugonomics, protecting Chun-Li. Envious in the meantime charging at Chanimal to do as much damage as possible. Thugonomics bursted down to half. Hammer of Justice with spell lock on Cubsy. Good cross crowd control there by Thugonomics and Envious. Chanimal dipping to about half HP, but he can easily just portal away to safety. Mana is actually in favor of Colo now at this point, despite Cubsy's drink. Envious in the meantime taking a ton of pressure. He has Divine Shield available though, if it's absolutely needed. He trades out Eye for an Eye instead, reducing the physical damage. Chun-Li just switches targets. I really like that from the Super Frogs, where they force a defensive cooldown. They immediately swap to try and force more, but there's a Chaos Ball flying towards Channel. Spell reflected by the Nether Ward. Really well done. That's allowing them to capitalize on a huge amount of pressure towards Thugonomics, but not enough to ultimately kill him. Channel now portaling back, dragging this game on even further.
Yeah, Cubsy sat down for a drink. Envious ultimately going to shut it down with the Hammer of Justice putting out pressure there. Colo pushes in. There's the incapacity. Can they take down Envious or force that second bubble from him? Fist of Fury stun, cap stun onto Colo as well, but he trinkets, uses the Sanctuary to get Colo out of crowd control, and maybe Envious can hold on to that second bubble. He definitely needs to. Colo going for the cast, but he gets interrupted. He goes for the cheeky first aid play, and Envious, how was he not bubbled? This is so unfortunate for Super Frogs. They had such a good setup, but Super Rejects managed to hold on a little bit longer.
Yeah, the Divine Storm healing. Envious got a lot of Divine Storms off and healed himself up with it, and that's what's really just hanging on to that Divine Shield, but ultimately not enough at 25% dampening now with Divine Shield out of the way. Envious is quite exposed. Thugonomics is exposed as well with no unending resolve. Chun-Li could be exposed, but at this point, I guess it's still anyone's game, but Colo gets spell locked in game number 1. Fists of Fury are flying. Will Envious be able to survive? Gates back to Colo behind the pillar. Catches a couple of flashes of lights, but they left Thugonomics behind. He's trying to march towards the gateway, but Chun-Li is all over him. He gates back behind the pillar. Super Rejects are in full retreat.
Yeah, they run away. Chun-Li, though, not pushing in. He actually ports in, or just ports back to Cubsy. Cubsy actually going to be drinking to full once again. Nicely done. Chun-Li going to be snaring up that pet, stunning it up, making it very difficult. Thugonomics just going to resummon it very, very quickly, but that's a full reset for the Super Frogs. They basically have every single defensive cooldown. A massive lead here. Triple Fist of Fury stun coming in from Chun-Li as he's looking to close out this game.
Yeah, Colo doesn't have very much. He needs 10 more seconds on that Healing Tide Totem. If they stack up like this and Chun-Li can keep getting triple stuns, that could just be lights out. 30% dampening. Colo's not really going to be able to fully recover anymore at this point in the game. Chun-Li's a bit reluctant to push forward, though, with no touch of karma. He's trying to play it out patiently, now committing. I like that his portal's on the other side of the pillar. He can portal and immediately evacuate if things get hairy. Colo just channeling out healing waves, but costing the remainder of his mana. Chanimal playing it safe as well. You can tell this is the final chance for these teams to stay in this tournament, and they want to take absolutely no risks.
Yeah, Super Rejects playing it very scared right now, but they have to wait another 3 minutes if they want to get Envious's bubble back, but maybe they can do it. We are at 35% dampening. We've actually seen Super Rejects bring to 67% dampening before, so we'll have to see if they can do it again. Chun-Li now getting swapped to Incapacitate into Incap over onto Colo. Big pressure on to Envious, but it looks like he's going to be okay. Colo able to get the heals, refresh the Earth Shield onto Envious as he just line of sighting Chanimals, but this is his Crusade and they're not really able to get any damage rolling.
Thugonomics gates away, but he's dangerous though. Cubsy sneaks in a Hex, and if anything connects out of Thugonomics, he's gonna fall over. Chun-Li flies in, Colo Spirit Links the reconnect, and Spirit Links the Succubus play as well, allowing himself to restabilize. Nice Spirit Link from Colo. That MVP play could be exactly what they need to stay in this game. Crusade is rolling for Envious, but he's actually running away and healing with it. That's not gonna be available for quite some time. I'm not sure if they can stay alive another minute. Thugonomics getting bursted down, interrupted. Chaos Bolt, Chun-Li just ducks out of line of sight to avoid it. Chaos Bolt actually flying towards Chanimal. Instead, 2 Chaos Bolts. Danger for Chanimal potentially. Grounding Totem from Cubsy though. Once again, great grounding totems.
Yeah, Thugonomics has no pet available at this time. Chanimal actually spell locks his Fell Hunter recast. Luckily for him, he's able to get that cast off. Chun-Li going to be pushing in, but he can't get too aggressive. He does have a nice safe portal there, but doesn't want to throw away the game. Both teams playing very cautious in this situation. Double Fist of Fury stun coming in from Chun-Li. Fear onto Colo. Envious can be using that Blessing of Sanctuary to get Colo out of the CC, but fortunately Paralysis gets used on him as well. Thugonomics getting so low. Unending Resolve, the last thing to keep him alive in this situation. Super Rejects has no more defensive cooldowns.
Yeah, really, absolutely nothing left for them, and with dampening mounting higher and higher, how can they really pull any momentum? Chun-Li's just going to touch of karma to stay aggressive, but Chaos Bolts are flying towards Chanimal. He's bursted down to about half health. Thugonomics now caught into Fist of Fury Paralysis. Crowd control by Chun-Li as they're looking for victory. Colo dispels off the dots, but Chun-Li's Rising Sun Kick connects. Drain life on 5%. Healing surges. He fakes the wind shear. He manages to connect a couple of healing waves in these final moments. Colo, he does it. He hangs on, but for how much longer? More healing waves come crashing in. His entire team rotting down, and Cubsy has every Shaman defensive cooldown except maybe the kitchen sink. It's going to be so easy for Cubsy to keep this going, whereas Colo is so far behind, but he's managed to sneak away with Ascendance. Healing waves are coming in, but they're really not even doing anything at almost 50% dampening. Spell lock from Chanimal denies any more healing waves. Chun-Li is all over them. Double Fist of Fury, leg sweeps, paralysis, and Colo's in a position where what can he really do? Van Envious has nothing left. He goes for it, but ultimately falls. Valiantly fought from Colo in these final seconds, but the Super Frogs will take game number 1.
It's going to take 48% dampening, but the Super Frogs able to do it there, and the track record just getting bolstered even a little bit more. This squad has been able to come out on top quite a few times against this team. And Zico, obviously this is a match that we do see the Super Rejects trying to push it into dampening. If they do make it there, how good does it really look for them? I mean, obviously we made it all the way to 49% dampening. We talked about the fact that they've made it almost to 70% dampening in the past. What is it about their composition that can thrive in dampening?
Well, it's just that once you get a big bolt off in dampening, you have that pressure. It's very, very hard to recover from that, and then it's easier to get more bolts off. The problem is when you get to dampening, the Affliction Warlock is more times than not gonna out-pressure the Destruction Warlock. Affliction Warlock is gonna put pressure on the pet, so Thug has to keep resummoning that. He's gonna be dots onto the entire team of Super Rejects, and it's just a ticking time bomb at this point, basically, because you need to play the AoE spec to actually match some of that cleave damage from the Affliction Warlock. But if they do that, then all of a sudden all of their pressure from the ret is going to be fading. So it's a rough matchup, honestly, and I don't think that the double wizard comp that they typically play on the side of Super Rejects is going to be much better answer either. So it's going to be rough for Super Rejects.
I think that it definitely is, and we also know Thug really, he likes to stick with the big bolts. He doesn't like to...
Has his bubble, then the ret can be doing a lot of crazy things, and it's just when you're switching back and forth like this, it just becomes very, very difficult for Colo to really deal with this pressure. I mean, this is one of the key moments. Like, we're at 7% dampening here, so this was a while back into the game, and it all starts off with these CC chains that they like to do on the side of Super Frogs. They get the paralyze onto Colo, then Shan-Li, of course, gets the Fist of Fury here. You can see everybody is rotting down from that Affliction Warlock pressure, and you can see as well on the mana bars that Cubsy is slowly but surely pulling ahead in this match. And the big play here is the Succubus from Chanimal. If it connects just a split second earlier here, the Colo doesn't get that Spirit Link right there, and you can see he is in that full 20 seconds long, and you can really just tear down somebody, the Ret Paladin, the Destro Warlock.
Enough, otherwise Super Frog's going to find themselves on match point.
Yeah, this is going to be difficult for the Super Rejects, I believe, but they built a relatively stable composition. Colo should be able to heal through the damage of the Affliction Warlock with the Way of the Crane. We'll have to see how it plays out. Chun-Li taking a whole bunch of damage very early on. Smexton looking to connect on Chanimals, but Chun-Li able to shut him down with the Fist of Fury. Big pressure here for the Super Frogs early on, forcing out the Cocoon as well as the Touch of Karma from Smexton and Colo.
All right, that's a massive cooldown overlap. The Super Rejects are at such a huge disadvantage now. Smexton is just trying to 1v1 Chanimal. Touch of Death had been committed earlier in this attack. He's actually getting soloed by Smexton. Now he moves over for an Incapacitate. Chanimal trying to kite away. Drain Soul to heal back up, but Fist of Furies are flying. Tons of damage still. Chun-Li rolls over to try and support. That's still a lot of damage from Smexton. Drops the Infernal. Now Smexton gets caught with no trinket. Full fear now onto Colo. He's all alone, ducking behind the pillar. Envious doing his best to back him up, but double fear, potentially triple fear. Chun-Li ports on top of Smexton. Fist of Fury. Way of the Crane gets activated. Will Way of the Crane be enough? Smexton dangerously low. Portal's back behind the pillar. Envious gets spell locked on his off heal. Colo's just not able to get any healing out right now. Fist of Fury onto Chun-Li. Chun-Li is overextended as well, dipping down to about 10%. Smexton's still forced to just run away.
Yeah, Smexton in a lot of trouble right now. Colo needs to connect some heals. Smexton still kiting away. Can Chun-Li reconnect with the Fist of Fury stun? Smexton has nothing left. Fear onto Colo. Any stun on Smexton and he is gone. Unfortunately, Chun-Li getting CC'd up there. Smexton still running away. No Touch of Karma available. Chanimal's taking him down with the Drain Soul, but the interrupt comes in. And I think ultimately it was the Lava Burst coming in from Cubsy that closes out this game. Super Frogs going up 2-0.
Super Frogs needed to get deep into dampening to take the last one. This one, they are going to be able to take swiftly, and this is an elimination series here. So Super Frogs going to find themselves already in striking distance of representing NA in the lower portion of the bracket.
Yeah, and I mean, Super Frogs, they need to get one more win on the board. Super Rejects, I do commend them for trying out something new. They already know how the Holy Priest Destro Ellie kind of plays out in this matchup, and they already tried out the Red Destro. So I like that they are switching up their composition completely, trying out to play a Mistweaver, Crane, Monk composition, which traditionally does do well into the Affliction Warlocks. Unfortunately for them, usually it's with 2 melees on the team. Ellie Shaman is not gonna really cut it in this case, and I mean, this is gonna be a swift 2-0 here for the Super Frogs. Moving forward, it's gonna be really hard for Super Rejects to find an answer here.
What do you think the Super Rejects play, though, coming into game number 3? I mean, obviously they try something new in game number 2, but what do you expect in the third?
That they potentially could bring the game to a game number 4.
Super Tees, what do you expect to see? Last game of day number 1 of our summer final. This could reject the Super Rejects from this tournament. Will Super Frogs get the hot 3-0 and fight on for the NA?
All right, Thugonomics charging across the map towards Chanimal, interrupting that Demonic Gateway early on. This is a good map pick as well from the Super Rejects if they want to ultimately put a point on the board. We see Thugonomics leading for a swap over to Cubsy, looking to try and bait as many cooldowns by himself, but Chun-Li will back him up, catching Thugonomics behind the pillar into the Fist of Fury. Bunch of damage. Colo moves forward, drops an Earthen Shield Totem of his own to protect Thugonomics. Cubsy makes a clean getaway. They're going after Chanimal in prison. They force on ending Resolve very early on. Chanimal has a gateway now. He can portal back end gate, but he's trying to hold on to it. He's going to waddle his way over to the gateway for a getaway if he needs to, but but Cubsy is taking a ton of damage right now from Thugonomics. Windshear from Colo landed. Cubsy falling a bit behind, but ultimately not trading out too many cooldowns. Chanmel's just got to be careful with this 1v1 versus Smexen.
Yeah, Chun-Li bouncing around between Smexen and Thugonomics, trying to stun them up, trying to snare them up, allowing his teammates to survive. Chun-Li putting a little bit of pressure out onto Colo. Nice spear hand strike over onto him. Uses the Astral Shift to sort of deny some of this incoming damage. Good pressure on the Chanimals, though. Honestly, Super Rejects has been doing a good job so far. That Unending Resolve's not going to be up for quite some time for Chanimal.
Yeah, the split DPS strategy from Thugonomics and Smexen is making it difficult for Cubsy to decide who should get Earthshield, and right now Chanimal doesn't have it. He's going to jump off the side, process on Smexen. Chanimal ports away, but he's far away from Cubsy. Cubsy moving over to get into line of sight, catches one, Healing Wave catches two. Thugonomics now maybe intercepting, not able to find too much. Chun-Li is going to Fist of Fury. Thugonomics pausing it out, but now they've stacked up for Smexen's Fist of Fury. Chanimal still in a bit of trouble, and on this map, with these melee classes, he's never going to get away.
Yeah, incapacitate onto Thugonomics. Chun-Li doing everything he can to keep him alive. Smexen and Thugonomics getting double stunned by that Infernal. Good job by Chanimals to do some healing, but he gets interrupted. And like you said, Sid, he cannot get away. Interrupt now onto Colo. They need to find some pressure onto Smexen and Thugonomics, but both these melee are just so durable in this matchup.
Oh, all right, we see Chun-Li setting up a swap onto Colo. A lot of pressure. This is match point to huge Rising Sun Kick, and he just KOs him.
Whoa.
The Super Frogs are going to super reject the Super Rejects, advancing in the lower bracket.
Chun-Li! Oh my goodness, what a crazy, crazy way to actually close this one out as well. My goodness, Zico, you're an analyst. Analyze that.
I don't know. I don't see monks do that often. I mean, never. What is there to analyze? We see Colo is behind the pillar. He gets stunned into a cap totem. Seemingly fine. All of a sudden, Chun-Li blows him out of the water. I don't know what was going on there, but that was some crazy damage coming out of Chun-Li. And I mean, at this point, there might be a little bit of a tilt factor on the side of Super Reject. I really don't know what was going on there. We gotta take a look at the kill replay to really see what happened. But I think that was a strike of the Windlord with all the images on Colo there, and Colo didn't respect that it could happen, so he probably didn't have no damage reduction up there.
That is bonkers damage. I mean, Colo literally did just get soloed there, and I don't think Colo is at fault for not expecting that much damage to be coming at all. Then, where did that damage come from?
Well, as a Windwalker Monk, you have some key burst abilities. It's going to be your Rising Sun Kick, your Strike of the Windlord, and that Whirling Dragon Punch. Chun-Li just saved them all up at the right time with the stuns, with the Blood Elf Silence, and managed to maybe just get a whole bunch of crits, take Colo down. Normally, that doesn't happen as a Resto Shaman, so you can't really fault Colo. I mean, it was a one-on-one with a Windwalker Monk and a Resto Shaman. Normally, you can survive those situations, but Chun-Li just lining it up perfectly to secure the series.
And also, Super Rejects did have a lot of pressure in that matchup. It wasn't like it was just Chun-Li putting out pressure there. I would actually say the Super Rejects were probably a little bit favored in that matchup. I mean, there were some scary moments there for Super Frogs, but then Chun-Li, Super Tees, just did Chun-Li things.
Yeah, I mean, he just channeled his inner monk and found a huge crit to take Colo out, and that series could have easily swung back. I mean, this composition looked to be very good, and we can see the replay. He's got Earthshield up. Let's just go over a Rising Sun Kick that was huge. Fist of Fury just doing huge damage. Whirling
Chanimals right here, and they just 3-0'd Super Rejects and have avoided elimination now. How are you feeling after today?
We're really relieved that we didn't get knocked out today. It was a bit of a disappointing start against Tempo Storm with an unfortunate last game, but moving forwards now we have a pretty good bracket, I think, and I think we can definitely be making a movie for sure.
Indeed, yeah, the bracket's looking a bit better for you. You've been struggling against that Rogue Outlaw Elemental Shaman that you've been talking about. Do you have any backup plans for that right now?
I think we didn't play particularly well, but we also didn't get to try something else. I mean, if we face them again, I'm sure it'll go better than today.
Yeah, I would imagine so. You are NA's one of the last hopes, really, and looking very promising leading into practices. What do you think has been separating the NA from the EU teams today?
I think today they definitely played better, and I think they're a lot more prepared. But I think that, especially the move, if they play well, or our team even, we can make it pretty far in the tournament or even take it.
Indeed, NA's the move, and Super Frogs are the last hope for NA, and hopefully they can bring the heat tomorrow. Back to you, Rich.
Thank you.
Have Tempo Storm versus the Move and making a movie versus Super Frogs. Let's go with the best case scenario. Let's say the Move wins and Super Frog wins. That means that in the next lower round, number 3, they're going to be going up against each other, and one of them is going to get eliminated. So NA effectively is going to have one team at best making it out of this lower bracket, and that is a big, big issue for them because they're going to need either the Move or Super Frogs to make a deep run in the lower bracket.